Ramona, Oklahoma, where we've got another day of fantastic throwing coming at you from Milliken Field. Today, this session will be the women's hammer. We've got an amazing lineup. I'm Dan McQuaid from McThrows.com. Got my friend here, my dear friend and partner, Joe Frontier from Throw Big, Throw Far. This broadcast today also is going to feature some on-site interviews with some folks. We're going to talk to Sam Weeks in just a minute here. Joe, what are you looking for in this hammer competition?
It's a stacked field. We've got a lot of outstanding throwers here. Rachel Richardson, Aaron Reese, Beatrice Yano. This is a deep field, and we're going to see some exciting throws, so can't wait to share it with you. We worked out all the technical glitches from yesterday. We figured some things out during the javelin, and here we are, ready to rock and roll. So let's go.
Levante Suomai of UCLA starting us off. Levante actually born in Australia. She came to UCLA because she was inspired by Salala Sua. You're old enough to remember Salala Sua.
Oh my gosh, one of the great NCAA throwers of all time.
How many points did she score in the NCAA? We'll get the results going for you too as soon as we get the live results caught up here. Hadley Street's going to be next in the ring. Hadley is a redshirt sophomore at the University of Minnesota. Her PB, she just said a few days ago, 64 meters. You know, I was talking to her and her coach, and 64 meters is a fine mark, but in the new Big Ten, which is what, really the Big 18 or something?
It is. It's one of the deepest conferences in throwing, and hammer's deep, discus is deep. We watched the women's indoor throw. One of my former athletes, Danny Langseth, made it in the final. She threw 55 feet and was 9th at the Big Ten indoor meet.
Oh my gosh.
And the women's shot put, which just speaks to the volume of incredible throwers that are in that conference. And as conferences get bigger, it's harder and harder to score.
I can't even imagine what it's going to take to get on the podium for the men's and women's hammer at the Big Ten. But Hadley's on a good path, 68 4-meter PB not long ago. She got 9th indoors at the NCAA weight in the NCAA championships in the weight 2203. So she's coming into her own as an athlete. Her teammate now, Annie Nowboy, stepping in. Annie has a personal best 65.23 in the hammer. Season's best 63.86. She also represents the University of Minnesota, which you can clearly see. Internationally, Annie represents Liberia. Her parents were born there and immigrated to the United States when she was in 8th grade.
And just quick catching up on our first two throws. Levante went 59.89. Hadley's first throw was 62.68. So this is going to be a deep field. We're already out over 60 meters, and we're going to get into the 70s before this thing is done.
So if we've got live results working and all the cameras working and there's electricity, I don't know what to say. I'm overwhelmed.
Annie goes 64.53 in round one.
Holy
211 feet 8 inches, which is a great start for her.
Yeah, season's best. Nicely done, young lady. Annie, we'll talk more about her throughout the weekend. She threw a personal best in the discus last night.
She sure did. She's really multi-talented. She's a great shot putter as well.
Yeah.
All three events.
Fantastic athlete. That was 58.79 last night in the dark. Lizzie Virgil now, you just saw her take her first attempt. She's 28 years old. Her personal best, 65.88 from 2023. Lizzie spent 6 years coaching after she graduated from college. She went to Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, where she threw for a friend of mine, Scott Block, from the Block family in the suburbs of Illinois, which has produced some great throwers.
Incredible throwers.
Yeah, Danny Block, you know well from his
Went to
time
the University
at
of
Madison.
Wisconsin and Scott and just all good throwers.
So according to Lizzie, Scott really inspired her to go into coaching, but she's 28 years old and she wanted to see how far she could improve, how much she could improve in the hammer if she set the coaching aside for a little bit. So she's actually a middle school art teacher right now. Does that sound more or less stressful than coaching?
I don't know. As a fellow art teacher, I love it.
Did you just see that?
Yeah, Turtle on the ground. We had dogs in the discus sector last night. You've got cows just outside of the property here at Milliken Field. There he goes. We got to nickname that guy. That is not Jelani Davis.
No,
I just
that's
want to
Sarah-
let you know that's not
Sarah
Jelani Davis.
Cullinan. Life is like a box of chocolates at Throwtown Ramona. You'd never know what might come up. You might see a turtle. There might be a missing competitor. But that was Sarah's opener. That is an impressive turtle. Oh, my.
Catching up on stats here, Lizzie Virgil, 50-73. Jelani Davis, 66-53 on her opening throw.
So that's Sarah. Sarah's from Finland. She's been competing for Virginia Tech. She's just out of college eligibility, so she's a pro. She got the silver medal in the European Under-18s in 2018. Has a nice, bright future ahead of her. We'll talk more about her shortly. Here's
Stamatia Scrivalis.
who represents Greece internationally.
Absolutely. She threw at Tennessee and has been to an Olympics, multiple Olympics.
Representing Greece?
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah.
And she's off to a good start.
She is the 6-time national champ for Greece in the hammer, 2-time national shot put champ. There she's talking to her fellow Greek, Kostas, who we'll see in the men's competition later.
A couple of Greek hammer thrower on the men's side at University of Minnesota doing really good things.
Yeah, he opened at 77, I want to say. So Stam opens with
68-41.
68-41. That's not too bad.
Oh, it's a good start.
Her hammer PB is 71-43, and this is her first meet this year, so she's got to feel good about that. Here's Sade Alatoye. That looks like a foul in her first throw. I think she stepped out sideways. She probably got distracted by the turtle.
Former Ohio State superstar. Boy, was she an incredible NCAA career.
She's 28 years old. She represents Nigeria internationally. She was weight throw national champion in the NCAA. She's born in the United States, but kind of like Annie Nalboy. Parents were immigrants, so she represents a different country internationally. Probably not a bad idea in many cases. We can talk more about that, but
Beatrice Yano is now in the ring.
Beatrice was third in the NCAA, throwing for Arizona State. She was the 2017 SEC champ, throwing for Georgia. She trains currently, at least part-time, with Nathan Ott.
That's right. Nathan's got an incredible throwing group at Penn State. Not just his college group, but his collection of pro throwers that most of them focus in the hammer, and he does a great job. Incredible coach.
Yeah, and a great guy.
Aaron Reese is in the ring. One of my
Olympian.
favorites.
So Aaron opened here last year.
Former Indiana State great. Coached by Brandon Bettenhausen.
She opened here last year with 71-20, and that set her off to a pretty nice season that ended up with her throwing in the Paris Olympics. She also has an extremely nice dog that we met a few minutes ago, and I'm probably going to kidnap. Or dog nap, I guess that's the proper term.
Dog napping?
Yeah. He sat on my foot to get his attention, and anybody, any dog or creature that does that,
68-41 for Aaron Reese in round one.
68. And again, she's really looking to get to around 71-ish like she did last year when she opened at Throwtown.
Katrin Jakobsen.
25-year-old, 5-time national champion for Denmark. She was 5th at the Europeans last year, so I actually saw her throw. I witnessed that women's hammer competition. She apparently ran the 100 meters in 12:83 in 2016. What's your 100 PB?
Very slow, much slower than that.
I think mine is maybe 12 minutes 83.
Rachel Witchison is going to be our last thrower in round 3. Rachel had an incredible season last year.
Oh, yeah.
Right
What did
before
Katrin reach there?
we didn't. I don't have a mark for her yet.
Wait, okay, sorry. I don't
Oh,
mean to-
73.67. She takes the
What?
lead. 73.67.
Oh,
241.8. She did not come. She came to play for
She
real.
came to play. Maybe inspired by the turtle. Rachel, 25 years old. She went to Notre Dame. Since has prospered under the care of A.G. Kruger at Ashland, where she's a volunteer coach.
Looks like that was out. Yeah,
Okay, that was
wide
sector.
left. Sector foul.
I was talking to Rachel before the competition. She's looking, just to get really consistent. 70, 71 range. Her PB 74.82. But like we've talked about with a lot of throwers, it's important to raise that crap level, huh, Coach?
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of athletes about that. Obviously the goal is to keep pushing the big mark further. PRs are like gold to these athletes. But as you start aging into a professional career, it's also about raising your average, so that your bad meets start looking pretty darn good too.
That was Levante's second throw. That's her coach, Sean Denard, that she's chatting with. He is from Naperville, where I live. A lot of handsomeness there, especially since I left town to come to Oklahoma. Levante goes 57.88. Hadley back in. Again, Hadley went 64 meters for a PB not long ago. Sector there as well.
It's a windy day here at Throwtown, Ramona. I haven't seen necessarily a wind help a hammer, although a tailwind would be helpful. This is a crosswind today. This is what the discus throwers are looking for. The hammer thrower is not usually bothered very much by wind.
Do you think the wind has any effect, like you're doing all those turns? If the wind was strong enough, could it?
I mean, it's blowing pretty hard,
Yeah.
so you could get blown a little bit. You're in single support.
I wonder.
These athletes want to stay out of single support and be in double support as much as possible. It's a
There's
big
Annie
throw from
Knobway
Annie, yeah.
stepping in.
She liked it. The coach liked it.
Oh my! So her PB again, 65.23. She already set one PB this weekend.
64.53 in the first round. Let's see what this mark is.
She set a discus PB last night, as we mentioned, in the dark. But we have it on good authority that it was actually measured correctly. Oh, she gets a nice ovation for that. Congratulations from her coach, Peter Miller.
68 meters.
68 meters. That's a massive PB for Annie Knobway. Holy guacamole. 68. Coach Peter Miller, who you saw there, told me that she is, I want to read this quote correctly, that Annie is the most powerful human he's ever been around.
He's been around a lot of good athletes.
Around some great athletes.
That's saying something when you can say that.
Wow, she's showing it off there.
68 meters is the new number 3 in Division I NCAA.
My goodness. There's Lizzie Virgil stepping in for her next throw. Again, she's a middle school art teacher, so even with the loud music and the craziness out there, this is probably a very peaceful day for her.
She's trying to throw far and not think about what's happening in her classroom right now.
That's exactly right. Because whatever's happening, it can't be good. There you see the two Greek Minnesota Hammer stars sitting back there. We're going to see them in action a little later on today. What is it about Greece and hammer throwing, Coach?
We're going to have to ask Stam that.
Is it the souvlaki or the goat cheese?
Baklava.
The baklava? Something. Yeah, we need an answer to that question.
57.81 for Lizzie. I know she looked disappointed her first round throw, but 57.81 is a great improvement. She moves out to 189 feet 8 inches. And Jelani Davis is going to be up in the circle.
There's Jelani.
Dan, you're working on a book with John Smith. Spent a lot of time coaching Jelani Davis.
Yeah, and he still does. He coached her at Ole Miss. Had a lot of success in the hammer, weight, and shot. The way he talks about her reminds me of the way Peter Miller described Annie.
Powerful.
Immensely powerful. In the shot, I've been interviewing him a lot for a year or so. So I got weekly updates on Jelani last year, and I know in the shot they were really frustrated. He thought she had 20-meter stuff, 20-meter talent, and she couldn't quite control that engine, that amazing engine that she has. So that was a foul there in her attempt. Looks like she'll probably go forward as a pro, focusing on the hammer. So in spite of her great gifts in the shot, it's just not happening for her. But they think they can do some damage in the hammer going forward.
Sarah Killen has 2 fouls now,
Oh yeah, she's sitting on 2 fouls.
so she's going to have to find a mark. The top 8 athletes are going to get 6 throws today.
So Sarah's PB 71.02, got her 4th in the NCAA's in 2022. We were talking a little bit, that it's not easy getting into these meets where you can get world ranking points. But
Yes,
you've
it's a bronze
gotta get
level
those
meet,
points.
so these women are competing for points.
Yeah.
There's obviously a world standard in the hammer, but
74 for the women, and that's
it's a big throw.
That's a big throw. So
It's the Stom second throw.
it's a little bit of a conundrum because until you get your PR up there, you're probably not going to get into a lot of meets.
Yeah.
Like Sarah was talking about how she's been trying to get into Tucson Elite to get some points, but her season's best is 69, and it's not that impressive to people. So she could really use a big throw here today.
Stamati was telling me she's moved out to Maryland. As these athletes move further and further outside of their college situation, sometimes their life situation changes, and she seems to be in a really good place, and she's hoping for some bigger throws in 2025.
There's Sade again for her second throw.
Yeah, she had a foul in round 1, so she's looking for a mark here.
Okay. Sade threw the hammer in the Paris Olympics this past summer, representing Nigeria. When she was younger, she represented the United States. She made the under-20 team in 2016. But again, she switched allegiance, and it's fairly common. Chuck in the shot put.
Chuck Onekwachi, yeah.
Yep.
Competes for Nigeria.
Yep. And I think there's something to be said for not having to go to U.S. Olympic trials and fight your way onto a team and risk having one bad day and you're out.
We've on the podcast, if you're Throw Big Throw Far podcast listeners, we've had all sorts of stories from athletes for different reasons. I think about like Zane Weir, who's South African, but his grandfather was Italian, and so he chose to compete for Italy to honor his late great grandfather. And so all these athletes, they have roots, they have family connections, and sometimes it's just the best path for them professionally.
Yeah, and I think in Zane's case too, he wanted to work with Paolo.
Yes.
Paolo De Solio, fantastic coach, and that has paid off. We did not get a mark yet for Sade.
I'm not sure if the.
And now Beatrice has already taken her next throw.
That's right. I'm still looking for Sade's throw, officially. 68.93.
68.93 for Sade, or for.
And here's Aaron Reese. We'll get you caught up on the live results as soon as we have them.
I may have to just leave the live results to you, Coach, because I seem to have the magic touch of fouling them up.
You broke the internet?
I think I broke the internet when I sang "Happy Birthday" to Kara in the last broadcast.
It's possible.
Erin Reese, what a wonderful person. Besides her dog Tank, besides having great taste in dogs, wonderful person. It was so great to see her make the Olympics last year, and she was one who didn't have enough ranking points, who didn't have the standard. She was able to sneak in a meet in Canada after the Olympic trials. She had to win, and she had to throw a personal best in order to get enough points, and she did it and made the Olympics.
Yeah, it's one of those things about at least the U.S. trials is it's so tricky because sometimes these athletes leave the meet and aren't sure if they're in or not in.
Yes.
They've got to wait for world rankings to kind of shake out, and there are other international meets happening, other national championships that are happening around the same time, and that's a really nervous thing. But I was really happy to see Erin make it into the Olympics last year.
She's part of an amazing group of young American women hammer throwers. We're waiting for Katrin's mark. She opened with 73.67. Her all-time best, 74.22, so that was a hell of a throw.
Are you getting live results right now?
Rachel's back now in the ring. So live results appear to be kind of frozen up. We'll do our best here, as we always do. If I have to sing happy birthday again and re-break the internet, I'm going to do it. Rachel, as I said earlier, went to Notre Dame. That was definitely, she definitely had a family connection there. Her father played football there. Her parents met there. Her mom's father went to Notre Dame, so long tradition. She said she knew she was going to go to Notre Dame before she really even knew she was going to throw the hammer there. Katrin goes 70-39 to follow up on that fantastic opener. And then we are back to the top with Levante. Levante's best so far, her 59.89 opener.
As we move into round 3 here, Katrin Jakobsen continues to lead 73-67. Rachel Richardson 70-39 in round 2. Beatrice Yano 68-93. Stamatia Scarvala 68-41. Aaron Reese at 68.05. Annie Nebwe, 68 meters. Jelani Davis, 66.53. And Sade's second round throw, we were delayed on getting that stat to 66.39 currently is the number for the top 8.
See Levante chatting with her coach, Sean Denard, who, like I said, from Naperville, where I live. And I can tell you, when he was a 14-year-old high school freshman, he had that same beard, Coach. It was intimidating. I was a coach, and I was intimidated by this 14-year-old kid.
The other kids thought he was the playground supervisor.
Yes. There's Hadley, and they're taking her third round throw.
If you guys want to see a shocking track and field record board, go to UCLA's men's and women's top 10 list.
Oh, my.
And let your jaws drop at the numbers that you will see in both the men's and women's, and not only in shot and disc, but also the hammer. It's pretty impressive.
Hadley, 62.26. She's putting together a pretty nice day. 62.68 opener. 62.26 with a foul wedged in between. Annie's stepping in after that bomb. That 68-meter bomb.
68 meter round 2. Let's see what she can do here. Build off of it.
That's just one of the most fun aspects of throwing, isn't it? That every once in a while, we know the work that it takes. Sometimes it takes so much work and you don't improve at all. And then you just line one up one day and blammo. That feels good.
Yeah, when
Coach
things
Peter
come
Miller's
together.
saying, hey, do this, use your hip, you'll throw 78.
She is likely going to get 3 more throws, so he's going to continue to coach.
So we've got a field of 12 here that's going to be whittled down to 8 after 3 rounds, and then those folks will get an additional 3 throws. Annie fouled her third round throw, but she's fine. 68 meters.
Lizzie Virgil was just saw. She is at 57.81.
So Lizzie's got to move up. She's sitting in 11th in order to get 3 more. Right now we got
It's a foul.
Sade in 8th with 66.39. And here
56.88. I apologize. Lizzie's not a foul. She's not going to make it in the final, but she doesn't have to go back to teach today.
Which, when you're dealing with middle schoolers, could be a lot worse. Although she's local, they might, if anybody's watching the feed here, they might give her a call, or if her principal's watching.
That's not Lizzie Virgil. I don't know who that is. That's Jelani Davis in the circle. That's who that is.
Jelani opened with 66.53, followed that with a foul. She's in 7th. Her hammer PB 70.41 from this month at Ole Miss, where she still trains, where she graduated from. Still trains there with John Smith. Jelani was a walk-on at Ole Miss, 65.97, so not an improvement for Jelani, but she'll be in that top 8. She was a walk-on at Ole Miss. John Smith told me that her and her dad just walked up one day to the hammer cage.
Sarah Killinan needs a mark. There's 2 fouls.
Oh boy, she really
Does not
needs
look satisfied.
So Jelani and her dad walk up and they say, "Hey, coach, we're so and so. My daughter would be interested in walking on." And at the time, he was pissed off at walk-ons because some of them had misbehaved. So he just basically said, "Hit the bricks." And then for some reason, he kind of changed his mind. He just liked the look of them, and so he said, "Okay, we'll give your daughter a try." And the rest is history. She scored a ton of points in the SEC and the NCAA for Ole Miss. Did Sarah file out?
She did. Samatia is looking for
That's
an improvement over a 68-41 first round throw. Her third throw. All right. That looked good, and she looked happy. A lot of times early in the season, it's hard to express joy about throws when you know you have a big PR and you're kind of working your way into season shape. But
it's the Greek
she
power.
liked that one.
You can see that at work.
Absolutely.
71.43 is her PB from 2022 in Tucson. She was the SEC Hammer Champ in 2018. Third in the NCAA.
70 meters. 70 meters even.
70 meters even. That's a nice throw.
229 feet 8 inches for Stamatia. She's going to get some more throws as she moves up into third place.
She's got to be happy with that. Back to Sade. Does not look happy with that. She definitely has climate-appropriate headwear on today.
She's in eighth, and she's going to see 3 more throws. She's safe.
Sade holds the African record in the women's hammer, 71.88. Season's best, 66.91. She threw at Ole Miss a week or so ago.
The World Invitational is brought to you by Throws Pro and Thrower X. If you need throwing equipment, Throws Pro has the equipment you need to throw far. And Thrower X, online resources for throwers and coaches who want to get better. Go check out Throws Pro and Thrower X.
Beatrice back in the ring.
Beatrice is at 68.93. She sits in 4th place. Looking to move up. She's going to get 3 more throws, though. Another one of the sponsors of the World Invitational is Roadie Sport. Roadie Sport wrist wraps, shot put gloves, and multiple styles of hammer gloves. If you haven't checked out the Roadie Sport Eagle and Phoenix hammer gloves, you should go to roadiesport.com and check them out today.
I talked with Nathan Ott to get his opinion on Beatrice since he's coached her, and he said she's always been physically capable of much farther throws. She just needs to find her flow state. Don't we all, Coach?
I like flow state.
You all need to find that flow state and execute a smooth and fast throw. So hopefully we're going to see her do that here.
She's going to have 3 more throws to find flow state.
Let's see if Aaron Reese found it on that one. If I were Aaron, I would just hug that dog between throws. And
You can't do that. You got to stay focused.
That would keep me in my flow state. Can you walk in the ring with the dog and then just set him down? His name is Tank.
Aaron gets the consistency award so far. 68.01 in round 1, 68.05 in round 2, and we're waiting for this mark.
Her opener last week.
67.37, not an improvement.
Okay.
But she's got 3 more coming. Last week, you said?
Last week she opened at 69.78, so I got to think she wants to go.
Yeah, she's in the hunt and probably
anyway.
move over to 70.
Yep. Here's Katrin.
She's our early leader so far, 73.67. That's going to be a foul, but she leads the competition right now. There's a little bit of prize money on the line for all these events, thanks to Don Milliken, who is just, what can I say, the nicest guy, and he loves the throws. We watched him throw the discus yesterday in the open discus. At age 72, he's out there loving the sport, and he's the guy who's making this place possible along with Caleb Seal. So thanks to Don Milliken for offering up prize money for these athletes as they compete for not only to win the event, but national records and qualifying marks. Don has been really gracious with supporting the throws.
Rachel, I don't know if we talked about USA weight champion
Yes.
this year in 2025. She said she really loves throwing the weight, and she and her coach throw the weight in a way that it complements the hammer.
Yeah.
Which I've heard Coach Smith talks about that a lot. Dan Lang talks about that, and I don't know enough about the hammer to really explain how that works. but apparently there's approaches to the weight you can use that maybe sabotage the hammer.
Well, that is an absolute fact, and I think obviously when you get to the elite level, you know you can have a place for the weight in terms of how it will influence the hammer. I think the hard part for college athletes who are trying to throw the weight far, it doesn't always line up with then later throwing the hammer far. But I think Rachel's maturity and certainly coach knows what he's doing, and I think they have a very, it's in the right place in terms of where it falls in her training and how they utilize it, because ultimately the professional world has a lot more respect for hammer throwers than it does the weight throwers. It's really only competed in the United States.
I was talking to her before the competition, and she said, she was happy with how well she threw in the weight, and she thought it would translate to the hammer, and apparently it is. 72.59 in round 3. We also talked about, the famous crap level, and that's exactly what she mentioned. She wants to get to the point where she can throw 72-ish under any circumstances, any conditions, in a stadium, out of a stadium, in the rain. This is a great step toward it. I mean, the conditions are nice today. It's beautiful out, it's warm, but it's early in the season. Keep stacking up those 72-meter comps. That can sometimes set you up for a big jump.
72-meter throws in April can lead to 75-meter throws in June and July when it matters.
She's really confident these days. She majored in psychology, and she was thinking about maybe being a sports psychologist. And I asked her if she uses those techniques on herself. She said she does. And she's an assistant at Ashland, and she helps her athletes with some of their sports psychology issues, which, as we know, are legion.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's hard? That's a big. The sports psychology is most needed in events where you have time to think.
Well, I saw a graphic the other day on Instagram. It was a meme, and basically, it was like a big ass control board. And the top of the control board, had like 1 million dials. Looked like the inside of like a fighter jet. Dials and buttons and all sorts of stuff. And the top section just had one little flip switch on it, and it said sprints. And then the secondary section had about 150 control dials, and underneath it said throws.
Yeah.
So, it's true. There's just a lot of things that you have to dial in, and you're watching the other competitors, and you're thinking about what you need to do technically, and then something different goes wrong on round 2, and then somebody else throws farther in between, and there's just so many more variables that are happening in and around a shot put or discus or hammer or javelin competition.
I've heard baseball players talk about that some baseball players cannot stand being the designated hitter, because if you go have a bad at bat, you just sit there until the lineup comes back around to you. At least if you can go out and play the field, it's a distraction.
Absolutely.
Right? And throwing is essentially being a designated hitter. You throw, and then you have a certain amount of time. Sometimes, like in the Olympic qualifying, where there's 18 people in your flight, you might have 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's hard to stay happy and positive.
No doubt.
I feel like some kids that I've coached just naturally have that ability,
I agree.
some I don't know if they could ever control their anxiety or the rational side of their mind, the worrying side of their mind.
I think the conversations that I've had with pros on the podcast, so often the mental part becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Their strength levels are at a place where they're not going to get that much bigger. The longer they're professionals, maybe they're making technical adjustments or they're experimenting, but they're pretty much locked in. It's the mental part that they, how can you control the controllables? How can you start blocking out and washing out the things that you can't control?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you're on your way. Okay, so here we go. Round 4. Our finalists, Sade, Jelani, Annie, Aaron, Beatrice, Stamatia, Rachel, and then Katrin is still our leader at 73.67. Here we are at the World Invitational in Throwtown, Ramona. If you're just tuning into this live stream, thanks so much for joining us. The live stream brought to you by Throws University. The World Invitational brought to you by Caleb Seal and Don Milliken at Throwtown, Ramona, and Milliken Field in Ramona, Tulsa, near Tulsa, Oklahoma, is presented by Thrower X and Throws Pro. Our other sponsors of the World Invitational are Roadie Sport. We talked about Roadie Sport's hammer gloves, Fiber Sport if you're looking for discs, pole vault poles, Check out the great products that Bruce Caldwell produces for Fiber Sport. And thanks for tuning in, everybody.
66-66 for Sade on her fourth round throw. And that's Jelani fouling.
Yeah, so Sade's throw moved her up to 7th. And now Jelani with a foul, and we're going to see Annie Nebway with her big PR 68 meters in trial. See if she can build off this. She's just a sophomore in Minnesota, is that true?
Yeah, so that's 2 PRs in substantially less than 24 hours.
Absolutely.
And they traveled yesterday. They traveled for, they had a couple of flights. They traveled from like 6 a.m. till noon to get here. I guess that's the stuff for her, huh?
Ready
She
at a
just took
moment's
nice
notice.
flight, like Mika Sosny yesterday in the discus.
Yeah.
So Annie again banged out that 68-meter monster throw in round 2. There's Peter Miller talking to her and saying, "Come on now, yeah, just do that, just do that, just bend your knees
Some
a little
more
bit,
of that.
throw a punch somebody in the gut, and maybe you break 70 meters." Could happen. It could happen. And he's an exciting athlete. Holy cow. 62.45. That's kind of what he talked about with her. She has that great Porsche engine. But sometimes when you're gifted with that engine, it's hard. It takes a long time to learn how to control it, right?
Yeah.
And get that consistency.
Erin Reese she sits at 68.05 in 5th place here, as she's sorting things out here early in the season.
I'm going to feel really bad about dog-napping her dog if she doesn't get off a better throw here, because I don't want to add insult to injury.
You keep talking about it. I think the authorities are going to know where to find you, know who the culprit was if that crime is perpetrated.
I don't care. I've got a souped-up minivan. They will never catch me. Aaron 68.18. So she's consistent, but not at the level that she'd like.
Yeah, well, and from consistency might come the next big throw. That's 3 throws at 68. Third round throw is 67. I'm sure she wants to get back over 70 as soon as she can, but she's stacking throws up. And that's the way to do it. Here's Beatrice. Beatrice is at 68.93.
Her PB again 72.10.
She's an outstanding thrower at Arizona State. And then, did she finish her last year at Oregon? Did she follow Brian Blutrick up there? I can't remember.
Boy, that's a great question. Let me check my magic note cards. I do not have that down. But
if I'm wrong, I apologize.
If you're wrong, I forgive you, and I will not heap scorn upon you. I promise. I'll do my best not to. Beatrice 68.05. So there's consistency there, but again, she'd probably love it a little bit more if she was consistently at 70. Right now, Rachel's kind of setting the tone there.
Here's Stamatia, 70 meters in round 3. See if she can build off of that.
She's had an interesting career. She's been in a lot of international meets, but she's never, been able to break into the. I don't think she's made an international final. Let me see here.
She's looking for that next step, next kind of distance unlock. Can she get to the 74-meter kind of realm and then start being competitive at one more notch up from where she's been competing? I think that's what she's searching for.
2021 Olympics, she threw 69.01 in qualifying, didn't advance. Eugene World, 67.20 in qualifying, did not advance. Budapest World, 67.53 qualifying, did not advance. Last year in Paris, 69.38 qualifying, did not advance. So she's a classic example. She needs to raise that crap level. Just a couple meters, right? 70 or 71. Yeah. You can start getting in the finals.
67.27 in her third round. We see Rachel Richardson in the circle now, sitting in second place, 72.59 in round 3. It's a good-looking throw.
Do you think if you have red hair, you're just destined to go to Notre Dame? Like you have no choice. In the hospital, they just give you a green onesie with a fighting leprechaun on it.
I'm follically challenged. I'm not going to answer that question.
I will respect your privacy there. There's Rachel.
Jakobsen will be in the circle next.
Rachel finished 4th in the Olympic trials last year, and that's the heartbreak spot. Holy cow.
She had a great season, though.
Yeah.
And, right now the U.S. Women Hammer group is just stacked so deep year over year. It is tough to make that team. But she's happy with, 74-25. Good job, Rachel.
Holy guacamole.
Outstanding. That is outstanding.
And again, her PB 74.82.
That is huge.
That's a heck of a throw.
Congratulations to
So
her.
she's following the plan that she laid out for me earlier.
That's right.
Raise that level. Build up, put all those 70, 71 meter throws in the bank.
She opened with a foul 70-39 in round 2, 72-59, now 74-25 to take the lead here. That's an outstanding throw. And it's April.
Back to that whole 4th place finish in the championships. Having been in the the mixed zone of some of those, when that 4th place person comes through, it's
really hard.
It's really hard. How do you comfort someone who comes a meter away or in the shot maybe a foot away from realizing their dream? $69.93.
That's not an improvement for Katrin, and she will stay in second place with that 73-67 first round throw. And here we are back to Sade, who's in 7th place currently, as opens round 5 with a foul. We will see Jelani Davis in the circle next. Jelani Davis, a great doubler in college. I mean, a great shot putter. Still a great shot putter.
And a menace in the weight. Let me see what her NCAA weight champ 2023 and 2024. She also got a 57-54 disc PB, so that young lady has an engine. She's going to devote that talent strictly to the hammer now going forward, I think.
We've seen some great doublers. We were talking with Jordan Geist earlier, who kind of uses the hammer as kind of, as a training device, and likes to say he said if he were just focusing on the shot put, he still might throw the hammer, 1 or 2 days a week, just kind of for plyometrics and core and all that other thing.
Yeah.
But when you accidentally are also pretty damn good at the hammer, then you got to commit to it. But I think it's really hard for athletes at this level. There's very few out there that can continue to do both at a high level. And so probably smart on her part to choose one. I think that's sometimes the hardest decision, though. It's like...
Yeah, I think she'll continue throwing the shot, but I think her emphasis is switched now to the hammer.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, I haven't talked to Maggie Ewan in a while, but Maggie told me, a few years ago, she went back to the hammer. She had been pretty damn good at it in college.
Yeah, real good.
Then she's, focused on the shot, but she felt like life was just more fun with 2 events. Made practice more interesting. And I'm not sure where she's at with that now, but I know a couple years ago that's how she felt about it.
Jorin Van Klinken, probably the best doubler in the world right now on the shot put and the discus, which to me I think is so complicated in our world because she wants to be world class at both, and in a really cool performance last year, she medaled at the European Championships in both events, which is a rare double.
Really rare, and that's. I'd like to talk more about her actually, because I think that's a really interesting situation. That was 65 even for Annie. She's got to be happy with that. She came in with a PB of 65-23. She smashed it, and now she backed up that 68 with a 65.
There's a good throw from Erin Reese. Let's see what this is on the board. She looked really good on that movement. Most comfortable throw of the day by far. She's at 68-18.
Again, she told me she really wanted to reach around 71 like she did last year.
Yeah.
Just raise her base a little bit, get her started. The PB is from 2023, 73-37. She threw that at Ole Miss, where she said she really likes to throw.
We're waiting on it.
There we go.
70 meters, 70-47.
Good. So that's, I think, right in the range where she was hoping for.
Yep. And like we said before, sometimes you got to have, 3 rounds of 68, and you go back and you kind of look at the video, and you all right, I'm going to do this just a little bit better, make an adjustment, and see if you can put more pieces of the puzzle together. It's early for these athletes still.
Fun fact about Erin, she told me that one of the highlights of her Paris experience last summer was seeing Sandra Perkovic in person because she'd idolized her, when Erin was a young thrower. And she said she started crying when she saw Sandra Perkovic. Now, Sandra Perkovic, I think, has made many people cry over the years. But I don't think just someone gazing on her usually does it. But that's how excited she was.
That's cool.
To be at the Olympics. 67.54 for Beatrice.
And work hard enough until your heroes become your peers. Sometimes that works out.
Do we know who the tall guy is with the glasses? He's coaching everybody.
I don't know who that is. We're going to have to find out.
Do you think he just wandered in? Maybe he was selling hot dogs a few minutes ago. He's like, yeah.
67.54 for Beatrice Yano. I don't know.
He's like me when I watch baseball or football on TV, and I'm like, hey, I know what to do. I know what to do. If they only would ask me. Yeah, there he is. He just walked over. He's like, hey, move your arm harder. Swing your arm. Damn it.
Swoosh.
I think he's an imposter. 67.54 for Beatrice. What did Stab get? She's been over 70 once today. Man, she scored a heck of a lot of points in the SEC in her day.
Oh, yeah.
69.08 to back up that 70.
All right.
2018 SEC Hammer Champ, 2018 NCAA third, 2019 SEC Weight Champ. I guess she started at UCLA. Where her brother went to UCLA, right?
Yep. All right.
Boy.
Rachel with a big throw.
Okay, if she's that excited.
She went 74.25 and 4, and she liked that one better than the previous throw. So let's see what this is. Once you kind of get in that groove, and Rachel seems to be in it. 70.39 in round 2, 72.59 in round 3, 74.25 in round 4. And what was this big throw in round 5?
Somebody needs to get. Oh.
78.80.
Oh my. Holy guacamole. 78.80.
What
she wanted to do was raise her crap level today a little bit.
That is a massive improvement for Rachel Richardson and a lifetime best, and you can see it on her face.
Where do you think that puts her on the?
That is fantastic.
That's got to be the farthest throw in the world, don't you think?
That is probably the best. That's the best throw in the world this year. Absolutely.
Holy guacamole!
World
now,
number 1.
Get her some sunblock.
That is incredible.
So she can celebrate properly. Wow.
Sometimes it's really hard, I think, for the next athlete to hop in. Katrin Jakobsen, she's still building off of that 73.67 she had in round 1. And I always think it's hard to get in the ring after someone has a massive throw. It's hard to stay on just focus on what you're trying to accomplish in there.
Yeah.
Press a little bit.
Man, she wasn't kidding about the weight, her accomplishments in the weight this winter carrying over.
Huge.
Holy cow.
Huge.
Well, we'll get her in here a little later and talk to her and find out what's going on here. That was amazing. And folks, the weekend is just beginning. There's some fine throwers in the men's flights coming up.
Yeah, the men's hammer is absolutely stacked. And we will have 2 groups of men's hammer throwers later this afternoon after the women complete here round 6. We're going to see 8 more throws of the women's hammer. And let's see if people can move. Sade. She sits at 66.66. That might not be an improvement. I'm so happy for Rachel. What a fantastic throw that was.
Unbelievable. And you can't attribute that to the wind.
No.
That's just wow. That's just great hammer throwing.
From a pro standpoint, this place is built to throw the discus, but the fact that this is a bronze level meet, those are going to be enormous world championship points.
Yeah.
Besides the mark, but also
she obliterated the standard
placement here, and she is well beyond the standard. So, congratulations to Rachel in every way, and she's still got another throw to come. 68.34 for Sade.
Oh, nice! That's a nice finish.
So she moves up to 6th place today. Unless Jelani or Annie have something to say about that. Jelani Davis, her final throw.
Her best is 66.42. Is that right? No, 66.53. I'm still amazed by that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's got to be the tall guy with the gray hair. He's just giving out great advice. He's like, yeah, swing harder with your arm. Throw it farther.
65-63 for Jelani's final throw. She finishes at 66-53. And now Annie Nepa. Notice her stance. She started way over to the left.
And why would she do that, Coach?
Well, there are certainly athletes that is just part of their technique. As a coach, you don't necessarily want to fix something that you don't like in their technique by moving them over just so they can get the ball in the sector. Mm-hmm. Usually they want to fix the technical problem. So I'd have to ask Coach if that's just how she needs to work the circle, or if it's just something that she's doing right now because she's over-rotating. I'm not quite sure.
So it's similar to the shot of the disc. There's a range.
Yeah, you'll see all sorts of open stances. We talked about Matty Denny's technique, where he steps into his discus throw. Ryan Krauser's stepping in, as opening and doing the slide across. You've got all sorts of athletes that are working on technical or experimental things. And he's a pretty young athlete, and so usually you might just be doing something temporarily to kind of make sure that they continue to get marks. Here's Aaron Reese.
And he finished with a foul, by the way, but a heck of a day.
Yeah, she's got to be happy with the PR.
68 meters, 65 meters to back that up. Sensational.
So Erin Reese finally broke over 70 meters there. 70.47 is going to be her best attempt for the day as her final round throw falls short, 66.58.
On that subject of, coaching athletes between throws, last year, anyone who was watching the live feed from here might have thought that I was coaching Mikolas to a world record.
I think everybody thought that, Dan. Everyone was.
All I was doing was texting Mo and showing Mikolas what Mo's responses were. But at one point, I went over to my wife and I said, "Does it look like I'm coaching?"
You looked good doing it.
And she said, "It does." I was like, "Get a picture." So I don't know. Is that guy really a coach, or is he an imposter?
We're gonna find out.
Beatrice
finishes the day. Oh, wait, we don't have her number. 68.93 was her second round throw. She sits in fifth. We're waiting for that last mark. Oh, she moves up 70.91 in round three. Fantastic.
I think that's what that guy's doing. Anybody who throws 70, he just goes up to him and starts giving them high fives and advice. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that on Sunday. If you can take over, handle this by yourself.
I got it.
I'm just going to be out for the men's disc. Anybody throws well, I'm hugging them.
Dan learned the good luck gesture in German, and so he's going to be handing that out to a lot of throwers.
I can wish anybody good luck in German now.
Stam Scarvalis with her last throw.
A gesture that means good luck in German.
69.08 last round. She sits at 70 meters in fifth place.
Do you think?
And that's a foul. So she will finish the day at 70 meters, but that's a good start to the season.
Fantastic.
For her.
Do you think there's any chance that those guys showed me actually a really rude gesture just to make fun of me?
They like you too much.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
All right, we're going to see Rachel Richardson enter the ring. She is currently our leader, and 78.80.
That's a shocker.
It is.
Oh, and here she goes. She's not wasting any time, Coach. When you're on fire, you do not want to pause between throws. Holy guacamole. That is a clinic, man. That is just a butt whipping. Foul, 70.39, 72.59, 74.25, 78.80. Nearly 4 meter personal best. Still waiting on. I guess if you have to wait this long, it means it's a far throw, right? It takes a while for that laser to bounce back.
Right.
What does she end up with here? 76.41. This is a young lady who came in with a 74.82 PB.
What a fantastic day for Rachel.
Incredible. Maybe she should get the dog. as an award. That's an amazing series. We're going to get her in here later on and get her to break that down for us.
So 78.80 is the third best throw in American history. She moves past Janae Casanovoid, whose 78-meter throw used to be the third best throw. She still sits behind Brooke Anderson and Deanna. And just for some greater perspective on 78.80, it's the fifth best throw in world history. She's the fifth best hammer thrower ever.
Wow. Okay. So, is it the magic of Throwtown? Is that what's going on here?
It might be. It might be.
All right. If you want to experience a little bit more of that magic, join us in a little while. Not sure the exact time, but at some point here, we'll switch over to the men's hammer. 2 flights with some outstanding competitors.
Thanks for everybody for watching the Throwtown Ramona World Invitational presented by Throws Pro. We will be back for more with men's hammer later this afternoon.
Wow. Crazy.
78.80 is the fifth best throw in women's world history.
That's a hell of a hammer competition.
Anita, Deanna, Brooke, Betty Heidler, the former world record holder,
who I
she
love,
just passed Cameron Rogers.
Wow. Holy cow.
78.62.
That's elite company.